Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wobble94. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for another Marvel comic character that I've never really read, aside from some appearances and some cameos and stuff in some other books that I've read, whether it be back in the Stan Lee era of Marvel, or whether it be something newer. This is a book called Hulk, The End. It's a compilation of 3 issues, 2 that are tied together. They're issues number 1 and number 2 of some storyline I've never heard of, called Hulk, I guess Future Imperfect is what it's referred to as. This is not the cool cover that I actually got to see on the Nook, by the way, when I click on the icon to open the book. That's a bummer. I wish you could see that cover. But anyway, there's another story in here that's about 50 pages also by itself, in a 150-page long book here that is called Hulk the End, which is something I'll get to later on after I talk about the Future Imperfect storyline. So Hulk the End, basically, like I said, has 2 first issues that are 50 pages apiece. The first 100 pages of this book are about Hulk somehow getting brought into the future, in a post-apocalyptic future, essentially, with some king of some sort who's a huge Hulk-like character who has a big gray beard and a bald head. He's very strong. Everybody's terrified of him. He has a lot of women that are basically sex slaves for him. He's into trafficking and stuff. And he has one of the biggest kingdoms left on the planet. He's basically killed every single superhero around. And there's even a museum at one point that you see in the book with one character who has souvenirs of like Wolverine's skeleton, which was great. And like Spider-Man's mask, Captain America's shield, Iron Man's chest plate and helmets, a couple of them, matter of fact. Hulk is the last superhero that got brought in this situation into the future, and this is that particular Hulk where it's like Bruce Banner's personality in the Hulk. It's not just a raging monster and a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. This is like the Joe Fix-It, I believe is what he's called, Hulk, that I'm not really a big fan of, but I did like him here. It was Hulk being smarter. Again, I don't really like it. I feel like it kind of ruins the general idea of what Hulk is to me and to most normies who are not used to the Hulk and the Joe Fix-It personality we got in something like Avengers Endgame. Not a big fan of that version, but it was good here, like I said. Now, Peter David wrote all 3 of the issues in this book, in this collection, and they're all very well written. I think that some of them can be more well written than others, mainly the newer story from newer days called Hulk the End, but I'll save that for later, like I said. This new villain that I brought up, by the way, is called Maestro, and I don't know a thing about Maestro, never heard anything about him before. I've seen the pictures of Maestro, but I never knew anything about him. The reveals about this character were kind of cool. I kind of dug that. It's a little predictable, but I did like it. I thought it was unique. For a character that I never heard of, and a villain I've never heard of, in kind of a post-apocalyptic situation, that was all pretty rad. The Hulk himself was very likable here, and I actually think the art is pretty damn good for the most part. I'll show you a couple of photos of that, I guess, whatever I can show you. It's kind of that classic, if you can see it. I guess the camera finally adjusted, it looks like it. It kind of has that nice, older art style that you don't really get anymore, you know? Very nice. Very nice for the most part. Very cool story. Very unique story, I would say, too. It's got a lot of cool things in it. It is not perfect. Like I said, the pacing is a little sloppy, a little messy sometimes. But I enjoyed the book. It took me a couple of weeks, few weeks, matter of fact, to read this. But mainly because I was reading so many other things that I've been stuck on and trying to get out of the way. I'm trying to work through my book log and my backlog of movies at the same time. So I'm kind of all over the place about what I'm doing. I'm more in a comic mood recently too, so I'm kind of in and out on reading this book versus a novel. But anyway, Hulk Future Imperfect, it's pretty good. I recommend it. Maestro is a cool villain. There's some good stuff in there. A lot of the side characters around Hulk and the more futuristic sci-fi stuff I was not crazy about. I didn't love that stuff too much. But I love how Hulk was the final person who could challenge and possibly beat Maestro. That was pretty cool. Watching the events unfold were cool in the most part. I don't really have much more to say. This review is not much more than me saying the word cool all the time, but that storyline for 100 pages is mostly nice. I really enjoyed it. Now, getting off to the next story here, sometimes it seems like certain pages are calling it The Last Titan. I don't know if that was like a pre-work title or a pre-production title that they included in the book or in the issue. I don't know. But it was called Hulk the End also. And it's written by Peter David. Like I said, it's a newer comic, way after that other stuff he was doing. Here's a great example of the art here. If you can see it. There we go, it adjusted. And I'll show you a couple other pages, I guess. It's very succinct. It's very much like reading a movie, you know, which I don't hate when comics do that. That's a more modern day comic thing, like when you read some of the newer Star Wars comics or whatever from Disney. I don't hate that style. This story kind of meandered. Basically, Bruce Banner is an old, decrepit, probably dying man who the Hulk and he have a terrible relationship. The Hulk hates Bruce's guts, wants him to die, calls him puny Banner all the time, just like he did in a lot of the movies. And the Hulk every once in a while will come out. There's no other human left on the planet. There is this thing called a vidbot, who's like a little, kind of like the Portal video games robot that actually follows Banner around and records everything left about his life, because he is the last human. No matter whether he's the Hulk or not, he is the last human on the Earth at this current moment. And Hulk wants to be left alone entirely. Everyone's dead. The only things that happen to be left in this wasteland of a whole planet at this point is, even with the encounter of aliens we've had in the past, not really any of them are showing up either. We have cockroaches that evolved into these monstrosities that can fly now, more so than usual, and go after Hulk and try to eat Hulk and Banner all the time. And that sounds like a really cool threat, and it is a threat, mind you. This is a pretty gruesome story. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The more Twilight Zone elements of it. It has that Burgess Meredith episode about the I just wanted to read idea, but Bruce Banner just kind of wants to die. That stuff is kind of neat. I really like this particular issue in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say that I loved it or thought it was a good issue, because it's just kind of meandering. It's Bruce wanting to die, Hulk not wanting to die, but Hulk hating Bruce and wanting to be left alone. If that sounds interesting to you, maybe you'll like it more. Some of the reveals about where the vidbot came from, or the cockroaches thing, some of the stuff like that was kind of interesting here, but it's also kind of dry. It's good for a Peter David comic, obviously, and it's better than most modern day comics coming out, but that's not really saying much in hindsight of what comics used to be, and what we can get from like Japan and shit now. This is not a great comic. The art is good. I just don't love it. I think it kind of drags down the quality of what the two Future Imperfect volumes, or issues, had right before this, in the same book. It's not bad, just kind of a weak ending to a Hulk world, I guess you could call it. I don't really know what to call this. It is what it is. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't bad, just very, very, very fine, just okay. So anyway, when it comes to Hulk the End, I'm going back to the front of the book here to show you the cover again. This is a good read. I think the first two issues in here, that first 100 pages out of the 150, again, really solid, have a lot of issues with pacing sometimes, and choppiness, and a lot of side character shit that I don't care about. And some of it I don't understand at all, because I've never read much of the actual Hulk comics themselves, much less the Peter David run. This was kind of my intro to that, and I liked it. It was cool. But when we get to that final issue, it's meandering. Like I said, kind of like this review a little bit. If I had to rate Hulk the End on a 5-star basis, I think I'd give it like mostly a 4 out of 5 stars because of those first two issues, the first 2/3 of this book. They really made up and picked up a lot of slack based on what I enjoyed about them, but then the art of the final issue, like I said, was really good. The Final Titan, or whatever it's called. Hulk the End was a cool post-apocalyptic idea. Whether those two different storylines are tied together much or not, I don't really think they are, but if they are, I liked it. It wasn't too shabby at all. Pretty solid read if you never read a Hulk book. This would be a kind of a weird place to start at, like I dealt with here. If you know nothing about Hulk at all, no movies or anything, this is not a good place to start at all. You will be confused. But if you like Hulk, pretty good read. I like the Hulk. I want to get more into him. I've always heard from people I used to watch on YouTube, like Blows Himself Up Dude back in the day, that the Hulk is a really great character, and I've always wanted to get more into him as a hero and see more of his stuff and Peter David's work on him, because that's like the iconic thing I always hear about from people. And I enjoyed what I read here. It was a good time for the most part. So anyway, like I said, 4 out of 5 stars for Hulk of the End. Have you read this book? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear everything you have to say about it down in the comment section down below. What's your favorite Hulk volume, run, compilation, whatever that I can check out, maybe on Nook or Amazon Kindle or something? I'd love to read more of this character. I really don't own much of this stuff at all, digitally or physically. So Let me know everything you think down in the comment section down below. Again, thank you all for watching, guys. What did you think about Hulk the End? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite storyline in the book? Let me know that too. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.